Good morning. This is the Virtual PBX-admin training. Training lasts about 30 minutes or so, depending on load times. We do record these trainings, so if you can't stay for the whole time, that's fine. You can come back later. This training is designed to show you where things are. For detailed step-by-step instructions, you're going to want to look in the show notes for the support link guide, so you can look up a particular feature there. There's some other links there that I will talk about as we cover those particular features. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Here you have our dash login page, which is at dash.virtualpbx.com. To get logged in, we need 3 pieces of information. The first is your username, which is your email address, which should be in all lowercase letters. Your password, which is case sensitive. And then your account name, which is typically your organization name. And then you would click on the sign-in bar. Now, if that isn't working, just above that sign-in bar is your forgot your info link. And if you click on that, we still need your email address, and we only need one of the 2 following pieces of information. So either the account name, which is typically the easiest, or a phone number on the account. Click on reset password. This will send you an email. Just follow the instructions in the email. This will let you change your password and log you in temporarily to let you change your password. It logs you back out. It takes you back to the sign-in bar so you can enter in that new password. And then you can click on sign in to get logged in. And once you get signed in, you're taken to your dashboard page, which just shows you a quick snapshot of what's going on with your system. Up here at the top is your name. You can click on this at any time. It's going to open up a big pop-up. It starts you off on your user account page, which is where you would go to change your own password. Now, as a system admin, over here on the left, you have the account level settings. The most common thing that's changed here is the time zone and language. Add-ons. This allows you to add additional features to your Dash account. This will include things like multiple auto attendance, text forwarding, dynamic caller ID, and advanced reporting. These will increase your bill. There'll be a pop-up letting you know what that bill amount is. And you have to confirm it to continue. The billing portal. The Access Customer Portal here. This lets you go in and you can view your previous invoices as well as change your payment method. Any system admin can click on Cancel Account and click on the red Cancel Account button. There will be some questions to fill out, and this will close your account at the end of the current billing cycle. And then when you're done here, we'll click on the close box here to the top right. We're back here on the dashboard. Next to my name, I have a D&D toggle. This stands for Do Not Disturb. Mine is currently active, meaning my user is not accepting calls. Right, calls to my user are going to voicemail. The phone icon here, this opens a new tab, takes you to webphone.virtualpbx.net. On that page, it will ask you to log in, which just uses your Dash login information. Now, this will only work if you have a web phone device added to your user. If you don't, it will just sit there and not let you log in. But if you do have a web phone device on your user, this allows you to use Chrome, Firefox, or Safari on your computer to make and receive calls. Little speech bubble icon here. This opens up a new tab and takes you to virtualtext.app. This allows you to make use of the virtual text feature. The question mark icon here opens up a chat window at the bottom right of your browser, and this lets you speak with our support team to help you solve a particular feature that you're working with. The 3 horizontal line icon here, or the hamburger icon, it's just the menu icon. This gets you to other Dash features. We'll cover these briefly at the very end. And then the arrow to the right is to log out. Skipping down here to in the middle, Total users, I have 6. That means I have 6 people who make and receive calls. Then I have a device breakdown. These 3 that I'm highlighting here, the web phone, soft phone, and SIP phone, these are all kinds of VoIP phones. Total numbers, I have 13, and a breakdown here. Assigned numbers means the number that's in use. Right? Spare number on my account. It's possible I'm paying for them. I'm just not currently using them. Then this breakdown, USDID and US toll-free. US toll-free is 800 number, 888 all the way down through 833. USDID just means a local phone number. Conference bridges, I have 3. That means I've enabled the conference feature on 3 of my users who host or moderate conferences. This main number block, these 3 numbers, these are all going to the same part of my system. And in this instance, they will be all playing the same main greeting. Conference number, you get multiple conference room numbers if you want. They're all going to the same conference room numbers, but this is the number everyone dials to join the conference. Fax box number, you can have one main fax box number, and this is your inbound fax number. This also allows you to edit the fax box to allow for outbound faxing. The company directory, there's 2 links here. The CSV is just that. It's a CSV file. It has all your users, their names, their email addresses, their extension numbers, and their devices that you can view via a spreadsheet program. The soft phone link is for use with the VirtualPBX desktop soft phone application. So if you're using our soft phone app on a Mac or Windows PC, you can download this file, upload it to the soft phone app, and in the contact list there, you'll see your other staff members who have the VirtualPBX soft phone, and then the status of their soft phones, i.e. if they're on a call or not. VirtualPBX Store, this link will open up a new tab, take you to store.virtualpbx.com, and there you can order things like VoIP phones or headsets, etc. The account realm, every account has its own account realm. This is one of the 3 pieces of information you need to program or provision a third-party soft phone. This is also used in outbound faxing, which is via email, which we'll be touching on later. Skipping up here to the top where this blue bar is caller ID. This is your company caller ID. When you click on it, opens a box. This pull-down menu lets you select one of your main numbers, and you want to select one of them. That becomes your default number, and primarily this is what your VoIP phones would use for their outbound caller ID. Right, and then you would click on Save Changes. Hold music. This allows you to upload your own media file, .wav, .mp3 up to 1 megabyte. After you click upload, click on browse, and then the up arrow icon. This will be the default hold music for every staff member on the account. This is after a call has reached a staff member's VoIP phone and they press hold. And that's when this file will play. Now, hours is part of main number, but we don't want to get into that until we've added some users and groups. So over here on the left, we'll click on users. On the user page, you see all your users on the account. The people with the blue suit icon, these are your system admins. They can make all the changes we're talking about. Person with the gray person icon here is just a standard user. To add users, click on add user up here at the top. Big box shows up and you need to fill out the form. Main thing to know, the email address used for login is unique to each user, so you cannot reuse email addresses. That's how the system communicates with your staff. Password resets, voicemail notifications, that sort of thing. Create a password for the user. You can enter in any extension number you want. We recommend using multiple digit extensions, so that way you reserve those like 0 through 9 for your menu options off of your virtual receptionist. By default, this system will automatically create a voicemail box for the user. You can choose to have that user be in the user directory or not. This is something you can change at any time. You can send emails to an alternate address. So if you want those password resets or voicemail notifications to go to an email address other than the one used for login, click on the box here and enter that alternate email in the box provided. And this is also something you can change at any time. And then send credentials to the user. I do recommend checking the box here. And all this means is when you click on the buttons at the bottom here, the user gets sent an email welcoming them to the Dash account and includes their login information. Once a user is created, you can click on their name. It'll expand out the box. You can update their name in case you had a typo. Here's where you would change their credentials, right? So their email or password. You can also send them the password reset email directly from there. Change PIN changes their voicemail box PIN number. It needs to be 4 digits. Now here's that option to send emails to an alternate address. And then here's the option to be in the user directory. Over here on the right, a little person icon. This pull down lets you change a user into an admin or an admin to a user. The little clock icon is the time zone for the user. You want to set that so their voicemail timestamps are correct for their time zone. And the flag icon lets you change the display language of these pages for this user. Ringing timeout by default is 20 seconds, which is plenty of time to a VoIP phone or a landline. If you have a user who's only using a cell phone number as a contact number, you'd probably want to increase this to 30 seconds. The extension box, users can have multiple extensions if you want them to. You would just click on add extension and enter that new extension number. The phone number box, if you want, users can have their own phone numbers. Just be aware that this phone number is available 24/7, does not have hours of operation or anything of that nature. And you have these options down here to add numbers. Again, use that support page link and look up adding a phone number for the specific steps. The device box, we do recommend adding devices directly to a user, just saves you a step. I'm only going to cover adding a new soft phone to a user. So I click on the device box, I click on new device, and I select soft phone. Now, anytime you add a soft phone or web phone, you get this warning message. Please read it at least once. And then a large box will show up here. Now, this is defaulting to a third-party soft phone. And I know that because right down here at the very bottom, it says use third-party application. So if you're using someone else's soft phone app, that's fine. You give it a name, you copy the username, click on the zip password box to reveal it, and then copy and paste that, and then copy the realm. Those are the 3 pieces of information you need to program or provision a third-party soft phone. If you want to use a VirtualPBX soft phone, then down here where it says use third-party application, click on that. It now flips it to say use VirtualPBX application. Give it a name, click on create device, and then click on save changes. Once you click on save changes, the user gets an email saying the VirtualPBX soft phone is ready. Body of the email, there'll be their username and their password, as well as download links so they can download the app to their appropriate device. Directly on the user is the only place you can add the VirtualPBX soft phone. So that's one of the reasons why we recommend starting there. Next up, user features. Caller ID number. This is for users that have their own phone number, and this will change their outbound caller ID to be the phone number on the user. Voicemail box. Voicemail boxes can hold up to 100 messages. After that, they are full and cannot accept any more. By default, the system emails you the call details as well as an MP3 attachment whenever a voicemail is sent or received, I should say. In terms of checking the voicemail and managing the voicemail box, you can do that by calling in to your voicemail box. You can also, up here, go to the user portal. That defaults you to your voicemail tab so you can manage your voicemails that way. Follow Me is for users with multiple devices. So this user has 3 devices. Right now, by default, when a call comes to this user, all 3 devices ring at the same time. If I don't want that, or the user tells me they don't want that, I would come here to Follow Me. I would click Enable. And then under the Do Not Ring section here, I uncheck the devices I want to make use of. And then I click and drag to give them a ring time. Now, this box here is a total ring time for the user. It defaults to 120 seconds. I can change that if I want to. I can then click Distribute. So now I equalize the ring time between my two devices. I can click and drag and then click distribute again, and now I change the order. And it's always going to go in this order. Now, if this user is part of a group, which we'll be covering next, calls from their group ignore the follow me setting. Right? So all three of his devices would ring in that case. Fax box. This allows you to create a fax box specifically for this user so they can receive faxes or send faxes depending on how you set it up. You have the choice of adding a new extension number for the fax box or a phone number. I recommend a phone number so that way they can send and receive faxes. Conference bridge. When you enable this on users, that means they can host or moderate a conference, and then they can set up PIN numbers for their conference rooms. Call forwarding. Users can set up call forwarding on their own. They can either do that under the user portal or directly from their VoIP phones. As a system admin, the additional benefit of you setting it up is you can do what's called failover mode. So if their VoIP phone goes offline for whatever reasons, the system would automatically forward to the phone number you designate. Customized call recording. This allows you to record inbound and outbound calls to the user. Music on hold. This lets you set up custom music on hold for each user. Right? So if you want it different for like your sales team versus the rest of your staff. Do not disturb. This lets you put a user on do not disturb status or take them off if they somehow can't get themselves to do that. Hot desking is a VoIP phone feature. This allows users to log into the VoIP phone that they're sitting at to receive calls where they're sitting, basically for a shared office environment, generally speaking. All right, next up, we're going to go to groups. Groups are departments, sometimes referred to as hunt groups or ring groups. Up here at the top, you would click on Add Group. You need to give it a name and then an extension number, and then click and drag your staff members that you want to be in the group, and then click on Create Group. Once a group is created, you can click on their name. You can always change the name if you need to. The group call attempts is how many times the system will offer an inbound call to the members of the group. Little arrows here so you can increase or decrease that as necessary. You can delete a group if you no longer need it, or you can click on Save Changes. Members box for the user for the group shows you who's assigned to the group and how you're offering calls to them. This is an example of blast ringing or ring all. Right, all my users are getting the call simultaneous, basically, or at least they're off the call simultaneously. But whoever picks up first gets the call. Now up here, you have a total ring time. Defaults to 120 seconds, right, 2 minutes. You can change that to how you see fit. You can also click distribute. Now, for groups, when you have it set up like this, right, Jeanette here, always going to get the call first. If she's already on one call and a second call comes through, she is still offered that call for 30 seconds, and then it goes to the next user. Right now, as system admins, you can always adjust these sliders so that those later callers are not waiting on hold for quite so long. Right, or you just do blast ringing. Groups are a simplified version of queues. Right, call queues allow like users to log in and out of queues themselves, so they can receive calls or not, depending on when their shift ends or starts. Queues also will recognize when a user is on a call and skip them, right, and go to the next available user. That's the advantage of the queues. If you're interested in that, you're going to want to talk to our sales team about the contact center product. Down here, you can add more users to the group, and then you can remove if you no longer need a person in a particular group. Groups can have multiple extension numbers if you want them to. They can also have their own phone numbers. Just like on users, a phone number on a group is available 24/7. Group features. Ringback is essentially the hold music file for the group. You would click enable, upload a .wav or .mp3 file up to 1 megabytes. One thing to know, the system does not loop the file for you, so you want to make sure the the play duration of the file matches or exceeds the total ring time of your group. 2 minutes is the default. And then you would click on Save Changes. Next action, if no one picks up, what do you want the system to do? Click Enable, choose a destination on your account. Typically a voicemail box, could be another group, it could be a specific user, it could be even a specific device. Allow call forwarding. If you enable this, that means your users can make use of call forwarding, i.e. they're not going to be at their normal desk phone. Call ID prepend. If you enable this, this is for VoIP phones. This allows you to enter additional text or numbers that shows up on your staff members' VoIP phones, right? So customer Mary calls in on Bob's J-Link phone. The word say support, for instance, would show up on his VoIP phone and then customer Mary's phone number. So he knows what the call is about. Especially useful for staff members in multiple groups or multiple roles. All right, so now that we have users with devices and groups, we can go to main number. Your main company numbers, these are the default numbers people call to reach you. You can add spare by new numbers here. Unassigning a number from any location, whether it's a main number or anywhere else, just moves it to a spare number status. Office hour strategy, you can be open 24/7, or you can choose custom office hours. If you choose custom office hours for each day of the week that you're open, put a check mark here, and then set your open hours in 24-hour or military time. You also have the option to be closed for lunch at the same time every day. Just put a check mark there, set your lunch hours in 24-hour or military time, and then click on Save Changes. Office holidays, if you're closed for holidays, put a check mark here. Click on Add Holiday. You have single day, date range, or advanced. Each one of those would create a new row, so you just fill out the row, right? Give it a name, month and date, save changes. If you need to remove a holiday, just click on the little trash icon and then save changes. Incoming call handling. This is how your system will handle calls from your main numbers during your open hours, after hours, and holidays. If I had set up a set lunch for during my open days, right, I would have a lunch hours tab here as well. First option here, calls are coming into my virtual receptionist. This is a link. And we'll open up a big box. The main menu, these are what people press on their phone to navigate through my system. I can click on Add Route to give myself additional menu options. You have 0 through 9, the star key, and the default action. And then the second pull down is things you've created on your system or places you've created on your system. Right, so you have menu options, go to a specific user, a specific voicemail box, a group, etc. Your greeting types. First up, text-to-speech. You just type in a greeting, and the system will read it back to you in a computerized or robotic voice. The system names this file for you, right? Main open hours menu TTS in this case. So if you make use of the TTS greeting after you're done, over here on the left, there's a greetings tab, which we'll get to in a little bit. Rename those main open hours menu TTS files to something you can recognize in case you need to go back to it. You can upload your own file. Just click on choose file, .wave.mp3 up to 1 megabyte. Existing recordings, just pull down will show all the media files on your account. Just choose the one you want to use and then update. Record over the phone. By default, the system wants you to pick up a VoIP phone on the account. Now, if you don't have one or don't want to use one, then under settings, it says allow outside recording, turn that on. This allows you to call in and change your main greeting with any phone. Now, you have this PIN number. This PIN number is specific to this account at this time of day, right? So it only works during my open hours in this case. So if I called in on Saturday, this PIN number wouldn't work. When you do this, right, you're calling in, you hear your existing main greeting play, you enter in that PIN number. Then it walks you through recording it over the phone. The system keeps that original file name of the greeting that you initially heard. You're just overwriting the content of that file with whatever you're saying. Professional recording services, when you click order, this opens a new tab, takes you to Snap Recording, which is a separate company. And you can order a professionally done recording by them. They'll email you the completed file, so you can just upload the file. All right, under settings, number of retries on this dial. This is how many times your inbound caller can make a mistake. In this case, they can make one mistake, which means they have 2 total attempts to get through my system. Dialing timeout is how much time the system listens for additional button presses. Right, so for customers who know extension numbers that they want to reach, this gives them time to enter those additional digits. Allow dialing extensions. By default, this is on, and this just means if the person enters a valid extension number, the system will transfer the call. If you disable it, that means they can only press your menu options. Suppress the playing of invalid entry. So on that last failed attempt, the system by default will say, we did not recognize your entry. Now, if there's a default action, it will then transfer the call. From feedback we've gotten from our customers, some of them find that jarring. So in that case, you would want to turn that on. So on that last attempt or failed attempt, the system would just say, we did not recognize your entry, and then transfer the call to the default entry. Now, if you don't have that default action, you may want to leave this on, because then it says we did not recognize your entry and then says goodbye. Any changes you make to your main menu, your greetings, or your settings, come down here, click on save, and then click on save changes here under incoming call handling. Now, the second option here, this is the live operator answer option, where this first pull down, you can select somewhere on your system, whether that's a user, a group, a specific phone, etc. If they're not able to pick up, then it goes to the virtual receptionist. This is my after hours, so it's different menu options, but the settings and whatnot are the same that we just covered. Holidays, I chose this third option. This first pull down, you can select places on your system, users, groups, device, even a media file. After it's done attempting to hit that location, then you can choose the voicemail box it goes to. Main conference number, you can have multiple conference room numbers if you want. You can also have a custom text-to-speech greeting. Just click enable and type in what you want the system to say. Even if you leave this disabled, the system says welcome to the conference and asks you for the conference room number. Main fax box number, you can only have the one main fax box number, but then you have access to the fax box. The inbound notification, in the box on the right, you enter an email address. That email address gets sent the message every time a fax is completed, including a PDF of the attached fax. Just be aware, if someone dials your fax box number and hangs up, this address gets sent an email saying that was a failed inbound fax attempt. Email permissions, in the box to the right, you can either enter an email address or, as shown in here, your company email domain. The advantage of your company email domain is that means anyone at your company can send a fax out, even if they're not a user on your Dash account. To send a fax out, they would create an email from their work email address. In the to field, they put the destination number, which is +1, area code and phone number, no spaces, dashes, or parentheses. Then they put the little @ symbol, and then the account realm, and then they need to attach a PDF or TIFF. So the system will look at the to field, the from field, and the attachment. It will not look at or transmit anything you put in the subject line of the email or the body of the email. One recipient, right? One phone number that you're sending it to, one attachment per email. So just make sure you don't have any signature file attachments on your email. All right, auto attendance. This is a plan-specific or add-on feature. This allows you to create multiple menus. You create an attendant here. You just need to give it a name and then an extension number and click on create attendant. When you first create an attendant, it shows up as unavailable in main menu, meaning it's not a menu option. If you want it to be a menu option, just click there, toggles to be available in main menu. So that means it can be off of your virtual receptionist. It can even be a next action location from a group. Auto attendants can have their own phone number. Right? They can have multiple if you want them to. And then under the settings, little wrench icon, you have open hours, after hours, and holidays. This matches what you set up under your main number, but they're all going to virtual receptionist. So you need to make sure that you set up menu options and a greeting, etc. And then save changes. Devices, this shows your devices on the account. Red is unregistered, so we can't send a phone call to it. Green means we can. Also, the red icon here next to VoIP devices. Under advanced, or emergency caller ID, for any phone number that you've assigned an address to, you can then assign it to a VoIP phone specifically for the purposes of 911. Right? So if your staff member working remotely has to call 911 from their VoIP phone, their address can get transmitted to emergency services versus your corporate headquarters. You can add devices here. The main thing to know is that soft phone, you cannot add the VirtualPBX soft phone on the devices tab. Greetings, this shows all your media files on the account. You see there's quite a few. You can click add, give it a name, and then browse for an MP3 or WAV file. Click on create greeting and it will upload it here so then you can see it. Doesn't tell you where it's assigned. Name just tells you what the file is called. Source, TTS, means it's text to speech, meaning it was created under a virtual receptionist or auto attendant. Upload means it was uploaded to the system. Recording means it was recorded over the phone. The play icon, you can play back the greeting directly in your browser to make sure it's still relevant. If that doesn't work, or you want to make sure you have a backup copy, you can click download and download the file to your device. Little wrench icon here under edit. This allows you to change the file into something that's more easily digestible than uploaded file and a bunch of numbers, or you can delete the greeting if you no longer need it. Numbers, this takes you to your numbers and use page. This shows you the numbers that you have and where you've assigned them. Little gear icon, the E911, that's where you would add the address for a specific phone number. Spare numbers, these are numbers that haven't been assigned and you're not using. If you want to get rid of it, click on the box in front. You have the option to delete. Click on delete numbers and it would remove it from the account. By numbers just adds more spare numbers to the account. Port is moving a phone number from one carrier to another. So from, say, AT&T to VirtualPBX, follow the on-screen instructions, or you can look into that support page link and do a search for porting. The voicemail boxes, it shows your voicemail boxes on the account. Anything that has an entry here under the user column was created when the user was created. You can create your own voicemail boxes up here at the top. And this is what you do for like your groups, for instance, or just a general voicemail box. Give it a name, give it a voicemail box number, give it a PIN number, and click on create voicemail box. I'm gonna click on the support one down here. Now the voicemail box PIN, the voice box number is not the same as an extension number. All right, so entering this, like someone calling in, entering this number at the virtual receptionist, not gonna get here. But you would need the voicemail box number and PIN number to retrieve messages over the phone or make changes to the voicemail box over the phone. Under advanced, you can upload media files directly to the voicemail box, right? The voicemail box greeting, MP3 or WAV. The temporary file is for the out of office or vacation message. If you have something selected in both, only the temporary file plays. The media file will not play again until you set temporary back to none. Recipients, your user voicemail boxes have a built-in recipient, the email address used for login, but any voicemail box, you can come here, click on add new recipient, add additional email addresses, just keep clicking add until you're done, and then save changes. Options, once you have a media file in place in recipients, you can click on already set up, and then you can double check to make sure that the attached messages to email check marked. If you have a voicemail box that you don't want to get full, like in this case, this is my support box, then you can also choose the option to delete after notification. This just means after that email is sent out, the system then deletes the voicemail message from the system so the voicemail box does not become full. Virtual extensions, a plan-specific feature. This allows you to add additional extension numbers without adding full users. Now, virtual extensions can have only one device, and they cannot have the VirtualPBX soft phone because there's not an email address associated with a virtual extension, which also means they can also not be part of a group because they're not a user. But these extensions are accessible from the virtual receptionist, for example. Call logs, this shows your call history on the account. You have today, this week, this month, and custom. Custom lets you go back up to 1 year. And then you would click on filter to see the calls. Now, the calls with a green arrow to the right, that's a call coming into the system. You can click on it to get some more details. There'll be some calls that have multiple lines underneath it, and that just means it runs to multiple devices and or users, depending on the setup of your system. If you see a yellow arrow to the left, that's a call going out from the system, meaning outbound call. Little fire extinguisher icon here. This will create an email for you pre-addressed to support@virtualpbx.com. It will have the technical details in that email. You just need to enter in some context, i.e. why you're sending it to our support team so they can investigate. Each of these you can download. It's just a CSV file. So if you're good with spreadsheets, you'll get some more information out of it there. Feature codes. These are ways for your VoIP phone users to access Dash features directly from their VoIP phones. You can find this also on the support page link. Just do a search for feature codes or the phone commands cheat sheet. Okay, that's all been the dashboard. Call center is part of the queues. You can look at the show notes to look at the ACD QUEUES Pro demo. Dynamic caller ID. This allows you to create rules to change the outbound caller ID of your VoIP phones to other phone numbers on your account. Faxes is your fax manager, so you can get to any fax box on the account to see the statuses of the faxes. Reports is the advanced reporting feature. In the show notes, look at the advanced reporting demo. This allows you to create your own reports, though. Voicemails, this is your voicemail box manager. This allows you as an admin to get to any voicemail box on the account, i.e. you're being told that a voicemail box was full. You can then get to the voicemail, put a check mark here. You can mark it so you can change its status, or you can even move it to a different voicemail box. Here's your option to play it back or download the file. Integration AWS is a plan-specific feature. This allows you to link your Dash account to your own Amazon Web Services account, so you can store things like call recordings there, etc. Messaging is anything to do with SMS. So if you're making use of the virtual text feature, you would click up here to add a user. Text forward is where you would add phone numbers to forward. So virtual text forward is for accepting inbound text messages and forwarding them on. It is not for two-way texting. Blacklist allows you to create a list of phone numbers that you're blocking from reaching your staff members. Call recording, since this account has AWS enabled, this takes me to my AWS interface. I can change the date range to see if I have different call recordings to show you. Oh, maybe. Right, so I can see the calls, the duration. I can play it back, download it. If you're not using AWS, you would have the recording manager, which would open a new tab, take you to recordings.virtualpbx.com, which just uses your Dash login information, and then you can see your recordings there. Number manager, this will take you to your spare numbers page. User portal, every user has access to their own user portal. It starts off on their voicemail tab, so they can see their messages, they can play them back, they can download them. put a check mark here, and they can change the status. Call history shows their call history. You can adjust the date range to go back in time to see what you've done. Fax tab only works for users with their own fax box, but they can see their fax history. Contact list shows everything on the Dash account. This helps your staff members transfer calls. They can also see feature codes, etc. Conference tab is for users that you've enabled the conference feature on. Over here on the right, they can update their PIN numbers. The moderator PIN and the participant PIN numbers should be different. And then you click on Save Changes. Settings and devices. This is where your staff members can enable call forwarding on their own. Just put a check mark here, +1 area code and phone number, and then hit save. Now I'm call forwarding. If I uncheck it later and then hit save, and now I'm not. Webhooks, plan specific feature. This allows you to link your Dash account to other software. You can click on new webhook here and you see it's some level of programming. In the show notes, you can look at the Introduction to Zapier webinar, which covers some of webhooks. You can also go to developer.virtualpbx.com to see sample code of what we've done to link Dash to other software. SMS registration, also a plan-specific feature. This is where you would go to start the SMS registration process to make use of the virtual text feature. There is a one-time $99 setup fee for this, so just be aware of that. You're going to want to read through this information, and this link down here is a step-by-step guide. I do recommend going through that before going through the registration